r/AskReddit by Reddit stories. If you were insanely rich, what would you collect? Countries. Rule Britannia intensifies. No, not like that. And I would be happy to work with you to achieve that. I have very reasonable rates. Fancy whiskey and watches. And a room with a rustic bar and furniture. Fancy whiskey and books for me. Skulls. Of your enemies or just people in general. I believe that sex is one of the most beautiful, natural, wholesome things that money can buy. Why pay for something you can get for free legally? Companies. I would buy up all the big companies and force them to focus on projects geared towards sustainability and helping people. Congrats on causing a recession and wiping out people's pension funds. Disney would love to have you kinda. Signed menus from restaurant and bar owners I befriended. Smart people, so I could put them to work on solving the world's biggest challenges. Secrets. But only ones that the credit card companies don't want you to know. Musical instruments. Saxophones in particular. Especially the odd variations, like the straight alto, C melody, contrabass etc. Hobbies. Whenever something caught my fancy I could buy the supplies, tools, lessons, whatever and do it for however long it entertains me. Then move on to something else. I'd be the ultimate jack of all trades, master of none. Oh boy, I'm just like this but can't afford everything. Land where heavily hunted wildlife live. It'll legally be my private property so you can't trophy hunt on it. And, I'd have heavily armed guards who shoot to kill poachers. The animals will be unbothered. Trophy hunting is actually mostly a good thing. That is the main source of income for buying and maintaining the land these animals live on. Poaching on the other hand, that's the biggest problem driving these animals to extinction besides humans just stealing their habitat and cutting down forests to make room for farms. 1963 split window Corvettes. Keychains. Undeveloped land. Rare and expensive minerals, not original, but true. Comics and vinyl. They just sound like the best two options for a nerd like me. Retro tech. More wealth. That's how it works, right? Human skulls. I already have a 60-something Caucasian one, but I'd like to get one from the South Pacific, ideally younger and with decent teeth. Also an exploded one on a stand with posable arms so that you could reset the skull to its unexploded state. That's not cool though. Let the people have their piece. Lamborghinis. Monster fish. Jurassic Park everything, including the franchise itself. Games. My shiny things collection will grow spectacularly. Steam games I'll never play. Giant crystals I would tie to a rope and hit everyone who dares to disagree with me with them. Quarters. Don't know why but I like them. I think the design on the back that isn't an eagle, it's so dope. Also the picked up coins that aren't printed properly. Just go to a bank and exchange like $100 for quarters, you'll have 400 quarters. How many would you need if you're rich? Cars and watches. My mom's love. Boats. I'd like to have a boat in every port. World leaders, seems to be a trendy collectible as of late. Sponsorships for poor children, sick people, people truly in need, not like take their sponsorships but rather be the one to sponsor them. Also, welfare and environmental programs, take over those and fund as many as I can. All the books. Honda Civics. All the years, all the different specifications, all the colors, everything. First editions of my favorite books. Watches. I like watches. I really do. But they're so fucking expensive. And not just the expense of buying them, but the expense of maintaining them, is also bloody expensive. If I had fuck you money, it'd definitely be spent on watches. An insanely rich family that I know have bespoke watches from Switzerland. Very nice. Some watches are worth it, the problem is that they sell very quickly, My uncle got me the Tag Heuer Alec Monopoly watch. One day in the mall I went to the Tag Heuer store. The man saw I had the watch and told me they only had 2 delivered to them and were sold out in a week. People. Used footballs and jerseys in iconic matches. Rare perfumes. Computer parts. Rolex Daydate's my favorite watch. I would just grow my already existing collections of living dead dolls and crystals. Shares so I become even richer. I don't know if anything interests me that much to spend the time and energy finding rare ones to have. I would buy a ton of stuff but probably not have a collection of it. Coins and pencils. I don't know why. I'd pull a Bart and Lisa and buy animation cells and slash or various original pieces of cartoon slash anime. The fragments of ancient Roman mosaics, not to mention the sarcophagi of Etruscan statesmen. Islands. A viable planet in our universe that I can move to when the terror that 2021 will be begins, face with tears of joy. Money. Old mansions, and restore them. Humans. Memories. You can collect some moving and exotic ones with insane wealth and a little time. Buildings. Vintage cars or something vintage. Cats, video games I'll never play and cross-stitch patterns I'll never start. Cards, I have a card collection worth somewhere around $5,000. I'd just expand on it. Mining rights. Money. Pets and perfume bottles. I already have over 100 bottles, so I'm on a good path, I think. Just to be clear, I don't care about the perfumes, so they're all empties given by friends/family. Definitely need to find something nice to display them though. Tech equipment. Sports cars and magic cards. Guitars. Museums, and basically everything in them. Lots of money. Vinyl, classic books, heels. Ancient artifacts. Vintage cars and aeroplanes. Art and art supplies. Fuck yeah, that's a Jackson Pollock hanging next to my original. Now guess which is which. Magic the Gathering Alpha graded 10 complete block. Movie costumes and props. Virginity. Art and gems/minerals. Money, evidently. People. Reddit gold. Gold coins. I want to Scrooge McDuck dive into a pool of them. Also classic cars. Give Jay Leno a run for his money. You would break your neck on a pile of metal bits. Think about it. Stick with the cars. Old antique arcade machines and pinball machines. Fighter jets, cars, not super, hyper but old muscles and Japanese. I would love to make M shiny again. What kind of fighter jets? Cold War Russian fighters, WW2 fighters. Watches, cars, and motorcycles. Classic muscle cars. Watches. Politicians. Gotcha characters. Manhole covers. Some of them are really pretty, especially in old towns. Vintage dresses. Cats. One of every breed plus a bunch more random cats. I could afford a special cat house for them to hang out in and hire a full-time kitty carer and litter box scooper. What a dream. Booty. Bank account interest. More money. People. Slaves. Video games, but weird video games running on things they shouldn't. All the internet's 2012 memes. I will hang them next to some Rembrandts and Vermeers in the great painting hall of my castle. Classic cars. Imagine owning a Ferrari 250 GTO for $50 million. Or a Ford GT40 for $11 million. Small companies with interesting ideas. Full-sized replica animatronics of dinosaurs. The more realistic the better. Every so often I'd leave the statues in random parks and woods for shocked walkers to come across. I guess if I was truly insanely rich I could just clone my own dinosaurs. But, well, we all know how that turns out in the movies. Japanese sports cars. I'm bipolar, so my collection choice changes with pretty much every hypomanic episode. Sneakers. I love them. I'd also collect business that interest me. Own a few gyms. Maybe restaurants and body shops. Properties. Legos and video games and football shirts, soccer shirts, feel free to call me a kid. Lamaré a mi guarda espaldas Ramos y Pepe. People. More ancient computer hardware, and more ancient books. That said, I'm not so much a collector these days. I would rather buy the stuff to allow me to properly do the things I love. Miniature toiletries from 5-star hotels, orphans, rescue pets, each must have at least one missing extremity, AMD the best perfume, liquor and spice from every country. All my friends and ID make a town for them and feed them and name them. PC parts and cameras. I will collect truffle bags and caviar cans laughs in rich. So many options. Whiskey, valuable comics, books, cool mugs. People. Rescue dogs. Bows. Ref magnets that I would buy from all of the countries in the world. A souvenir from all of my trips. Stocks, to further increase my wealth. Then cocaine. The corpses of my enemies. Other people's dead, then write it off. Will to live. Plants, hanging gardens of Babylon style. Doggies. Funky old steampunk looking guns and other assorted weird weapons and gadgets. Which would be hidden in a secret room behind my revolving bookcase in my library. Because what's the point of being insanely rich if you don't have a revolving bookcase? Collect food and distribute among poor persons. Souls of the innocent. Infinity stones. Interesting rocks from my river, my whole fortune spent on saving nature. Houses with pools. What every rich gathers, make even more money out of money. What the rich seem to be collecting now, politicians. I'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed.